Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I am really excited to have this individual on. He's an author, and I wanted to have him on because this book is very interesting, and I want him to talk about it. So it's been just a short time that we've known each other, maybe a few weeks here, but I'm really excited that we've gotten a chance to connect. My good friend, Mark Craven, has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show.
Brian, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start off with, my listeners who don't know who you are. Let's learn a little bit about you, kind of your background, your upbringing, all those sorts of things, how you got into what you're doing now. And then
Yeah,
obviously this is a dad podcast, so I want to know about your family as well.
absolutely. Yeah, so I was raised by a single mom in kind of the ghetto, and I didn't have a dad. Didn't know my dad growing up. So when it came
Mm.
time for me to become a dad, I was out of my mind, terrified, and so very scared. But once it happened, we'll get to that, but it's been the greatest experience of my life. So, I went to school, and after high school, I was really into music. So growing up was rough. Me and my mom, we never got along. She was just it was hard. It was a hard upbringing. Like I said, I didn't have a dad, and she was we just never saw eye to eye. She had a lot of sort of mental health issues that went unchecked and untreated. And one of the big things that she often did was lied kind of about everything.
Mm.
So I had really deep insecurities develop out of that I've been working on now in my adult life ever since I was a kid. And, so it was really hard. I didn't have a lot of belief in myself. I had really low self-esteem. And the only thing that really, and depression hit me. I mean, I can remember depression as far back as probably 12 years old, maybe younger. I do remember when I was in second grade, so I was like 7 years old, that I made a vow never to get my hopes up again because I was always let down. So, I mean, just imagine like being so hopeless and distraught at 7,
Mm.
in second grade. Um, but the only thing that ever kind of got me out of that was music, was playing guitar, and it was metal. So I was a metal kid, and um, just picked up the guitar. I mean, I played until my fingers bled. That was my escape. That got me out of that dark gray dead town and into somewhere else. I've always been a dreamer, and that's what was taking me there. So I remember coming home from school, when I was like 12 or 13, and I remember just staring out the window. I mean, for hours. Like, depression was so in me, and it bit me so deep. And I just remember sitting there staring out the window into nothingness. And again, the only thing that would kind of pull me out of it, because oftentimes we didn't have cable. The cable would be shut off. Even the phone would be shut off. Internet wasn't even
Mm.
an option, and even honestly, even food, we didn't always have food. So it was pretty rough. And again, the only thing that was pulling me out of that was Corn and heavy metal bands like Slayer and Cradle of Filth and all this crazy stuff. So I was just playing guitar and dreaming and planning and ready to be done with that life. So once I graduated high school, I went to college for 3 days and was like, nope, this is not for me. I don't want to do it. I'm a musician. I want to do this. So I started a band in the wake, and we played tons of shows. I actually ended up being the singer because I was the only one of my friends that could figure out how to scream. So I learned how to scream and do the growls and do all the crazy stuff. And at that time I was pretty pissed off, so I had a lot of it kind of came out pretty natural. And we played Warp Tour in 2008. We had our music distributed through iTunes. At that time, that was a big deal because you needed label representation to do that. So we didn't have a record deal, but we did get label representation to get our music out on iTunes back then. Anybody could do it now, but it was really fun. I mean, we were playing big shows and signing autographs and had some CDs and really enjoying some success. But then I ended up meeting my dad when I was 22.
Oh,
Great
wow.
guy. Yeah. He came to one of our shows. I had no idea who he was. And he reached out to me through MySpace. So this is going back a little bit,
Yeah.
but he reached out to me, and we connected, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to go back to school, you can live here for free. I'll pay for you to go to school." Just the whole thing. So the band at the time, we kind of hit a wall. We had a thing set up where we were going to go to New York City, record our full-length album with a real producer, get the real record deal going, have a booking agent, begin the touring, and it would have cost us like $8,000. And my guys, there was just a couple guys that were I guess they were just too scared to leap, too scared to take the jump, and they wanted to stay in Pittsburgh and do the album there. And essentially the album never was. I did go back to school. I fell in love with college, and I've actually been working in higher education for the last over a decade. So, I found a new passion. I found this new thing in me that I didn't even know I had. I failed geometry like 3 times in high school and ended up being a math professor, so it was quite the ride. But, like I said, I met my dad, and that's also part of the story too, is I lived with him for 3 years, and we did a paternity test after 3 years and we failed it. So I came to find out he wasn't my real dad. I found out that my real dad wrestled in the WWF, well, WWE now, but in the 80s, he was a wrestler in the WWF. And he was black. So I was told my whole life I was Italian. And then at 25, I found out I was black. And the other part of that is my mom was actually extremely racist as I was growing up.
Oh, wow.
So there was, it was a lot to unpack. And so yeah, that kind of gets me up to now. And I started writing books, and writing's always been part of me. When I was doing the band, I wrote, I did most of the lyrics. And even before that, as I was growing up, I would write a lot of poetry. I would write a lot of short stories. And then I started writing books and speaking and coaching people. And, once I worked with students, I first started in higher ed as a tutor. And once I saw that aha moment with somebody, and once they were excited about something, then, I was like, oh, I like helping people achieve the things that they want to achieve,
Yeah. Awesome. What about your family? How many kids you got?
I just have one son, my man Kai. He's my absolute best friend, and his birthday is actually coming up on Sunday.
Oh,
So
cool.
we're like inseparable. I mean, he's been the greatest joy that's ever come into my life, hands down.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Just,
How old is
just
he?
my best friend. He's going to be 3.
3. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're a rookie dad.
I'm super rookie. Yeah, I'm super rookie. Yeah. So I definitely didn't feel, I was like, God, are you sure you're calling me to write a book called Dads Kiss Your Sons? I never even had a dad growing up. And, I've only been at it for a couple of years. But, I listened, and, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, as they say.
That's it. That's it. Thinking back to when you were younger and, your dad wasn't in your life, how did that impact you as a child? Because I'm sure you had friends and stuff that had dads that were in their lives. And how did that impact you? And did you seek outside, father figures to help guide you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was curious. I was like, why don't I have a dad? All my friends have dads. I was raised, like I said, by my mom, but I was also raised by my grandma and my aunt, that was my great aunt, my Aunt Doe. So they were just such incredible people. My mom was a nightmare, but being with them was being awake from the nightmare, and they were just incredible, and my Aunt Doe's daughter, Vicky, who's me and her are extremely close. She's pretty much mom to me now. She's that's Kai's nunny, we're really close. So I really always had people outside of my immediate, household family that just brought me up right and were there for me. But yeah, I mean, the question was definitely there. Why don't I have dad? And I don't think I thought about it too much as a kid. I definitely thought about it when I was about to become a dad, and I was, like I said, out of my mind, terrified, because I never saw it. I never saw a healthy relationship. I never really saw a marriage. I never saw a dad. I didn't know what that would be like, and I didn't think that I was equipped in any way to do it. I mean, I was really like, I just can't, there's no way I can do this. And that's part of the message of my book. And it's so important, especially for, not just new and expectant dads, but maybe if you've been a dad for a while and they got a new one on the way, this fear starts to come in where you think, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I think fear really increases our fatherlessness numbers in our country and in the world, because I think fear pushes you to, to the door, and it's just like, no, you can't do this. I never saw it. I I don't have what it takes. I don't even know what to do. I can't, there's no way, and
Mhm.
I really was like leading up to that. I was so scared. And I think the important message is people think that, well, yeah, I mean, this guy says he was scared, but like he wasn't thinking what I was thinking. I didn't even want my wife to go through with the pregnancy. And if she did, I wanted to give him up for adoption. That's how scared I was.
Wow.
Like I had no idea what was waiting for me and how incredible the life of being a dad would be. I was
Mhm.
only seeing fear, and if you
Was that
can
a
sit through
conversation
that,
that you had with your wife?
yeah,
And
yeah.
how did she react to that?
I mean, terribly,
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, and I, I wasn't saying it in a way of you're going to do this. It was, this is where I'm at. I'm this scared. Like, this is how I feel.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, we talked through it, and I talked to Vicky, and when I remember when I told Vicky, I was like, hey, we're going to have a baby. And she just started crying, and she was so excited. And I was like, wait, this isn't a bad thing, because in my mind I had somehow transported back to being like a 14-year-old kid that got his girlfriend pregnant. I wasn't this mature adult in a mature relationship with a master's degree, with a career. I discarded all that. I was just like, I don't know how to dad.
Right.
What do you do? This can't happen. And once she showed me, like, not only is it okay, you're not in trouble, but this is really exciting. This is
Mhm.
really cool. So, and then once that baby was in my arms, as any dad knows, as soon as that baby's in your arms, it's like a thing of
Yeah.
lightning. It just
Yeah.
hits you, and you're so overwhelmed and overcome with this love that there aren't any words for. I could write 30 books on it, and I won't even hope to cover what you feel in that moment. So the message is so strong of like, just sit through that discomfort long enough to come out on this other side, and what's waiting for you, there aren't words for it, but you're gonna love it.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think I've said that many times that you can never explain to guys who aren't dads what the love is. You cannot explain it to somebody that doesn't have a kid. The
Right.
love for your child, the moment that they're born, it is. It's you transform into a completely different person, and that's the true blessing and gift behind becoming a parent, becoming a father, becoming a mother, is that God has loaned us these children to raise for
Mhm.
him, right? And so they're a
Yep.
loan from him, but there are
Right.
children to raise. And I think that's part of your journey is your child. And the reason I say that is because, we know the message that, hey, God's not going to give you anything that you can't handle.
Mhm.
And there's a reason behind there's a reason behind the things that God does for us.
Right.
And he knew that you could handle this.
Oh
He
yeah.
knew that you could
Yeah.
raise this boy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he knew that you
Way more
need
than I did.
right. And he knew that you needed it. You
Oh my
needed it
God.
because
Amen,
it's going
man.
to teach you
Amen.
everything you needed to know about being a father, raising him. So
You know, I, and it really, I mean, just just experiencing this love
mhm.
has been the greatest. And I have so many dreams. I've always been such a big dreamer. I've always, I mean, speaking on stages to thousands, and coaching everybody, and just being around successful people, and I still have all of that. But I imagine if God was like, hey Mark, you can have any of those things, as much of it as you want, but not him. It, like, see ya. you
Yeah.
know like I have every single possible thing and dream and desire I could possibly ever imagine, wrapped up in this amazing love with this little boy. Like, it's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's incredible. And like you said, I needed it. um yeah, I mean, I was, it's just so funny that like this has been the book that has been doing really well. This has been the book that's been taken off.
Mhm.
um I see you have an Ed Milet book behind you, and I love when Ed says, things don't happen to us, they happen for us.
Mhm.
And man, I'm so thankful of, it was a lot of, life really. Can I swear on the show? No, do you guys not swear? Is that okay?
It's all right.
Okay. Like, life kicked the shit out of me
Right.
for a very long time. And I'm still kind of getting some kicks here and there, going through some stuff right now that I don't want to talk about it. It's just not ready for public yet. But life has really did a number on me. I would walk through all that stuff 200,000 million more times to get to Kai. There's just no question, and that's how this book was born, because, I have this story, and okay, I didn't know my dad, then I met my dad, then he wasn't my dad, and I found out my dad was a wrestler, and, it's all this, it's wild, and it's got a lot of hook points and things like that. But I was like, well, what's the point? We've all gone through things, we've all gone through pain, and everybody's pain matters. Okay.
Right.
I don't like when people say, like, oh, I've gone through this, but people have gone through so much worse. It's like, no, 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 no. Whatever broke your heart matters. What broke their heart matters. All right. Just keep that in perspective. But I was like, well, what's my message? What is the message in the mess that I walk through? What is the point of it? Why am I writing this book? Why am I telling this story? And I commented on a friend's Facebook post. I don't know what they said, but I wrote, "Dads kiss your sons." And I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. That's why I've walked through all this stuff. That's why I've experienced these things. It was so that I have this message of, just get rid of that, whatever your thought of masculinity is, or being a man, or, not crying, or not like, get that out, and embrace this loving, beautiful, openly, demonstrative, just love and emotion. Like, let that shine in your relationship, and just, explode in love all the time with your children. Always,
Yeah.
and like I said, sit through the fear if you're an expectant or a new dad to
Right.
get here.
Right. Absolutely. Dads kiss your sons. What is the reason behind that book? What drove you to write that book?
Like I said, I knew I had a story. I knew that the things I had gone through would, hold impact. Dan Millman, who wrote Way of the Peaceful Warrior, he said, life, what essentially, what are our stories if they're not shared? So it's important to share our stories. It's a testimony, and it's going to help people, and the theme with that book, Dads Kiss Your Sons, is, I really think it's so important to hold, hug, and kiss, speak life over our little ones. And I do a lot of research in the book, heavy research on developmental psychology, neurology, neurophysiology, the anatomy, what's going on, what's changing in not only your child, but your baby's brain, because 90% of their brain is formed within the first 3 years. So, the things that they're getting to know now, that's what's being established. Like, those are the neural connections and establishments that are happening as they're, as they're in these developmental stages. And there's something called, physiological synchrony. So when you're holding them and you're kissing them and they feel you, there's a release in them, a natural release of serotonin and dopamine and all of the neurotransmitters and things that say you're safe, you're okay, you're loved, things are good, things are secure, all those things. It helps expand coping mechanisms. So when there is stress on the external environment as well as the internal environment, because they're going through so many changes, that serotonin, that dopamine, the lowering of cortisol, which is the stress, hormone, all of that is building these neural connections of, like, even when things are getting hard in and around me, I'm okay. So they're leaning more towards that. Like I was saying, the physiological synchrony piece is actually also happening in you. So the same release in those various neurotransmitters and chemicals in your little one are also being released in you. So I have this cracked foundation from my childhood of insecurity and lies and all this stuff. When I had Kai and I, began this beautiful relationship with my little boy, I saw that through loving him, I was finding healing within myself.
Exactly.
I was finding that in building his beautiful foundation of secured love and courage and all these things that, he has, it was adding to mine. It was filling in the missing parts in my foundation, so it's very interesting that, you can find healing for yourself in doing something so perfectly natural as breathing by loving your little one.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I mean, you said it beautifully there, but that's exactly why I said the Lord put him in your life for a reason. And the
Oh,
reason
yeah.
was to teach you how to love because you had been so lost growing up. So
Amen.
that, I mean, that's why I said it, because I knew that that was going to be that connection. And you're right. I mean, us as fathers, I mean, there's a special bond between a father and a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then the mothers have that special bond between the mother and the son, right? But
Right.
regardless, there is a really special connection with a father and a son. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I have two boys, and they're both
Mm-hmm.
they're both grown, they're adults.
Yeah.
And I was always in their corner. I was always connected with them. I was always doing things with them. I coached all their sports, from the ages of 4 all the way up through high school. So
Right.
I was
Yeah, I
always
listened to the
around.
episode where you were talking about taking on the high school coaching
Yeah.
position. Yeah, I
Yeah.
listened to that.
And it's crazy to think that, through their teenage years, and you're gonna face this, but through their teenage years, it's not that they didn't like me anymore, but they wanted to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
Kids figure out a way that, hey, this is who I am, and I'm trying to discover who I want to be. And so I don't want to hang out with mom and dad anymore. I want to go hang out with friends. I want to go be myself. I want to go do other things. And that's okay. But we
Right.
had such a strong bond that when they started to hit those early adult years, they came back. And my two boys are two of my best friends.
Yeah,
And
that's
I mean, we were
beautiful.
just a couple days ago, we went, the three of us went out golfing, and we golfed last week too. Just really, really just a good, strong relationship and bond that I have with them. And I'm a firm believer in it, the way that I raised them. My wife and I raised them with the love and affection that we gave them. I'm a firm
Right.
believer that that is the reason why we have such a strong connection today. And it hurts me to see kids that are lost, kids like you used to be, that
Mm-hmm.
are lost and don't have that relationship, and they seek it in other things, whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
drugs, other relationships, with, girls or boys,
Sure.
pornography, alcohol. Those sorts of things are the result of not having the relationship that they needed to have with their families, with their
and
parents.
that and that was me, and that was me. I didn't get into drugs or alcohol really. I mean, everyone at 21, 22 goes out and
Right.
checks it out. Some people stay there, but I didn't. Drinking wasn't my thing. Drugs, nothing like that. But going after girls
Mm-hmm.
and looking for my validation, my worth, my worthiness. And well, I have, like I said, I had such deep insecurities and I had such low self esteem. And what comes with that is low self respect, that I was always, if a girl thought that and this is, early 20s and stuff. I mean, really before I got in a relationship with God, that's where I was looking for my worth. I was looking for it in, if this girl not only talked to me, but if I could sleep with her, then I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
worthy. And when I kept finding out, as we all find out when we're looking for the right thing in the wrong places, is it's totally empty,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to fill this God-shaped, God-sized hole within yourself with everything but God. And yeah, I mean, it leaves you just even more broken, and it leaves you even more hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
And that often is a result of not experiencing that bond, that love. I mean, like I said, my grandma and my aunt and Vicky, and they all loved and kissed me and hugged me. And I think that contributed to me not growing up to be a complete, you know, maniac and doing, following different crazy paths. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely that time where I was seeking my worthiness way outside of, you know, where God's calling me to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hard.
Exactly. And I want to ask you this though, when it comes to that book, specifically. You sat down, you wrote this book because you knew that there was a need for it. You knew that there was a reason behind it. What did you discover about you, or what did you learn about being a parent or being a father um, during the writing of this book? I mean, was there something that you discovered or learned about you?
Yeah, I mean, writing's always extremely cathartic. This is my seventh book that I've done, and this book is the one that I put the most work into, the most heart into. I outsourced everything except the writing. Everything is done professionally on it, and I just put everything I had into it. I think I'm sure that's a really good question. And I learn, because I think what you learn is that you're continually learning,
Right.
as a dad. I'm certainly not like, well, there it is, there's the book, and good luck. You guys got it from here. Like I'm in this whole other phase with a toddler and preschool and interacting with little kids, and why is he pushing this little kid, and it's like a whole other thing. This book was really just the infant, like pregnancy through he's still a baby, so that's really where that book kind of left off. And oh man, I think I just learned that you just keep learning.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing in relation to that. Now, as far as marketing, I learned a whole bunch of marketing stuff because I never did it before. Yeah, that's why we're here, because I actually figured out how to start marketing correctly. Before I would just put books out like, all right, what's going on? Where are the masses? Where's Oprah? What the hell is going on? Why am I not successful yet? I didn't realize you had to learn PR.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What kind of things are you enjoying right now with your boy? Because he's 3. So
Yeah.
he's, there's a lot of things he's discovering every single day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Me and him, we go to Starbucks just about every single day together. Pumpkin loaf is his move. They didn't have it the one day. I got him banana bread. He knew and he threw it at me. He was not feeling it. Yeah, Starbucks every day, just about. And just we hang out in a place called the Waterfront, and there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of shops, a lot of things like that. He loves Barnes and Noble, which is great because that's my
right,
heart.
right.
And just running along the trail and playing. He's a really like athletic little dude. So even though I know nothing about sports, I have a very strong feeling I'm gonna have to learn quick. I might have to reach out to you, Brian, be like, I
Yeah,
don't
do it.
understand any of this stuff. But yeah, he does this thing where he like, I'll be holding his hands and he's jumping on the couch and he jumps up and he throws both his feet on my shoulders. Usually he'll land both his feet there and I'll stand up without my hands, and he does like a backflip off me. So, we're doing these
Oh,
like little
wow.
gymnastics at home. We do wrestling at home. He loves Halloween's my favorite holiday. So we watch like Halloween movies all the time, and pizza. Me and him eat. That's both of our favorite foods. I do could eat pizza every single day, every meal. I don't feed him like that, everybody. I feed him,
Yeah,
healthily.
Starbucks
But
and pizza. That's his.
Starbucks, yeah. What did we get out of that? Starbucks and pizza. Good dad.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the journey of being a father, especially when you have gosh, my wife and I we literally were just talking about this yesterday, because we had went to the beach and we were sitting at the beach, and next to us was this mom, and she had 3 kids with her, and the two of them were a little older, maybe like 9, 10 years old, but then she had this
Mhm.
little girl that probably was 4, maybe, and
Mhm.
to see her happy and laughing and playing and just enjoying life, uh my wife leaned over and she goes, don't you wish we still had a little one running around? And I said, no, I don't wish that. I said, but the fact that eventually our boys will have kids and will be
Right.
grandparents, I'm looking forward to that part of it.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
it's funny. Little kids have a way of changing us and making us better human
Mhm.
beings, but they can also challenge us,
Yeah.
and the struggle can be real. Being a parent isn't easy, especially when you have a toddler.
Right.
What do you think, when you're looking back at how you've been really enjoying your relationship with your son?
Mhm.
what challenges are you facing that maybe another dad out there could relate to?
Yeah, I mean, Kai was born in 2020, so right in the middle of the
Oh, wow.
pandemic. So you when you come into being a first-time dad, you already are nervous and terrified because you're a first-time dad. You don't know what's going to happen. Best advice I was actually given was you learn on the job. So that's what I want to tell everybody, you learn on the job. But just being so scared of every little, if someone tried to touch Kai, I'm like, did you wash your hands? Can I see
Mhm.
you wash your hands? Can I help you wash your hands? So just that level of fear. um so dealing with that and trying to control that was a challenge for me. And then when your little one gets sick, oh my god, there's nothing worse than when they get sick. And
Mhm.
Kai, last November of 21, he had to have ear tubes put in because he was always getting ear infections, he always had fevers. And then November of 22, he still was getting fevers. He had something called PFAPA. So if anyone's out there listening, this is a fairly, it was rare, but it's becoming more prevalent now. But if your little one's always having a fever and there's no explanation for it, and they can do blood tests, they may see some inflammation somewhere in the blood, that can be a sign of PFAP, and the inflammation's actually coming from their tonsils. So he had to have his tonsils and adenoids taken out in November 22.
Mhm.
So um just seeing them sick, that's a challenge too, and just keeping yourself together and praying and believing that they're going to be healed and they're going to be okay, and they will be. Just getting through that. And then the other fun challenges is just them not eating the chicken nuggets that they've loved forever, and now all of a sudden they don't. you
Right.
and things like that. But you just take that stuff and you just laugh at it. You just keep things in perspective. Try not to take stuff so seriously. And they're little, let them be little and let them just do things that you're like, I don't understand. I don't
Right.
understand why you're doing this, but you're cute as hell and I love you. So I'm just gonna keep kissing you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what you said there, you learn on the job is so true. And something that I think about, I thought about when you said that is in school, this, right? In school, you get the lesson, then the test.
Hmm.
When you're a parent, you get the test, then the lesson.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's so true because we learn on the job. And
Hmm.
yeah, we don't know if we're doing it right, but as long as we continue to trust in the things that we're doing and maybe seeking help when needed, uh,
Oh yeah.
guidance when needed, everything's going to be okay. And
Absolutely.
I mean, your son going through a couple different events where he was not feeling well. Yeah, that's tough and that's hard and it's scary for parents to go through that.
Oh
But
yeah.
continuing to love on them and trust that everything's going to be okay. It will, and you work through it. And I mean, I'm assuming that's a picture back there in the background of him.
Oh yeah.
That's
There he is.
he's adorable. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's
Um,
truly my best friend. Like I'm
that's
not just saying that. And I mean, you just said your boys are your best friend, so you do, you
yeah,
understand.
yeah, absolutely. Um, well, let me ask you this, Mark. Where people can pick up the book or
Hmm.
books, whatever they want to look you up, learn a little bit more about you. What do you think is the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, I mean the book's anywhere you get books. It's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever, online you want to go and order it. Really, Instagram is a good place if you want to reach out to me. Also, I'm always happy to connect with people and chit chat. And that's it. And that's just at underscore Mark underscore Craven underscore. So yeah, just reach out, Instagram. And yeah, like I said, the books everywhere. And if you go to dadskissyoursons.com and you join the newsletter, you'll get the first 3 chapters free. So that way you get a little feel for it. If you think it sucks, don't get it. If you like it, grab it.
That's awesome. We'll make sure we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. But I want to say thank you for the message in the book and the message that you're trying to teach others, and not only teach others, but learn yourself
Yeah.
for your son. And I appreciate our connection now, and I'm looking forward to growing this relationship, this friendship with you. And I'm excited to watch your journey continue as a father because you're a fairly new dad. So I'm
Oh yeah.
excited to watch that. So, but listen, Mark, thank you very much for being on the show, and I look forward to keeping this friendship up.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you for having a platform like this, because these messages that your guests bring are so important. So what you're doing, this work, this mission is it's anointed, and it's a beautiful thing. And I just want to thank you for doing this work, and thank you obviously for having me. And I'm extremely excited to continue our relationship and grow together as friends. And you can definitely teach me some things as I'm coming into them. So I'll be reaching out and asking.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. Listen, guys, if you want to check out his book, you can sign up for his newsletter and get the first 3 chapters, and then you can decide whether you want to get it or not. But I highly recommend you go check it out and pick it up. He's a good dude. He's a good dad. And you know what? He understands what it means to have a connection, a love connection with your child. And I hope that through his book, you guys can learn that as well. And just want to say thank you again to my good friend Mark for being on. And guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at daduppodcast. Until next time, everyone, Dad Up.